Hey guys, as the name of our channel suggests, we center on travel. But up till now, our channel has only been about Nepal specifically. Fortunately, that is about to change, but we'd like to tell you a bit of our backstory from when we began traveling up until now, some of the places that we've been to, and share some of the memories with you.
So both of us were born and raised in Canada. We didn't do a whole lot of travel as kids.
When I was a kid, travel consisted of camping trips.
Yeah.
And we did cross the border into the States before, but that was as exciting as travel got.
Mm-hmm. But when we finished school at the age of 18, we started to discover the world a little bit. We started traveling about 10 years ago, although we only started documenting or doing travel vlogs since 2015. So we have a lot of different places that we've been to that we don't have any footage of, and we didn't really take a lot of pictures back then either, so we're going to show you a little bit of some places that we've been over the last 10 years.
I lived in Mexico for 3 years, and most of the time in Mexico City, which is one of the largest cities in the world. All the buildings, especially the old ones, are slowly sinking and they kind of like tip into each other. And over the years they have to like modify the buildings, stick plaster in them, cut the doors in different ways. And it was exciting for me because it was such a big city with a rich culture. And for us, like, Mexico was a test. Do we enjoy different culture and language and everything, or is it just too overwhelming for us? Mm-hmm. But we both really enjoyed the life there. It was kind of travel for beginners for us.
It was good for us because it's very close. Like, a lot of Canadians and Americans will go to Mexico as their first time going somewhere out of their comfort zone because it's right there. It's still North America. And I also saw the monarch butterflies, really,
where they all come from all over Canada and United States, and they all gather there, I guess,
like millions,
like to mate and die. I guess, right?
Millions and millions of butterflies come to this one forest and just encase all of the trees. It's really amazing.
And I also saw from this tour, swimming with whale sharks, that there's two main ways of touring. One is very strict and one is very easygoing. And the whale shark exhibition was strict. And although we got to swim with them, it was just, there's so many rules that I couldn't relax. But this other time, when we got to like spot turtles and jump into the water and catch them, was a lot more fun. And for me, I got to see what kind of things that I really like to do, and love for other people, seeing that there's more than one way, good, right way to do things. Started learning that too. Went for a visit down into Belize, and that's where I caught my first lobster by hand, but they didn't have big claws, so. I got robbed like 3 or 4 times. I had a counterfeit in my wallet for months, just waiting for someone to try to rob me. And then the first time I got robbed, he was pulling my wallet out. I'm like, no, I'll get it. And I gave him my fake money and he took off.
And then they look at it and then they shoot you.
Woo! Exciting.
I went to Mexico 2007, also 18. But when I got there right away, I made some great friends and kind of ventured off on my own, and I stayed for a few months on my own there, which was great for my first time going anywhere. I was by the ocean, so I wasn't in a big city. I was in a smaller town on the Pacific coast, so we did lots of surfing in the mornings, learned how to dance. It was great.
So, we both, without knowing each other, went to Mexico. Mm-hmm. Then we both, without knowing each other, planned to go to Ireland. At that point, we met each other in Canada.
We started dating, but we both wanted to go, so you went first.
We went to Northern Ireland. Also, it is the home of Guinness. They say Guinness beer does not travel well, so the closer you drink it to the factory in Dublin, the better it tastes. Went to the Giant's Causeway and we went to visit some castles, so we did.
The accent in Northern Ireland is completely different than Southern accent, like completely different, and you think it's all the same. The normal Irish accent you've probably heard is probably like Dublin or the Republic of Ireland, but Northern Ireland, totally different.
Southern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, they don't usually say TH, it's more like a T. So like, oh, you go to that thing over there. But up in Northern Ireland, they don't say the T or the H, so that thing over there.
Yeah, it's like gibberish.
You want to hear a legit Northern Ireland accent? This is our friend.
What are you bringing, Richard? Richard, on Max does on TV one, or back when you're eating anything, and Max is out of his pen, he comes up and as soon as he stands till he sits, waits and gets one from you. Oh, why them hangs? Oh, why they're like something carved out of ball go crack, it's amazing. It's unbelievable. Never seen ball go carved like it.
Can't understand a word he's saying, by the way. So when I went to Ireland, I was there for about 5 months. And I loved it. It was an amazing experience for me. I wanted to go to a place that was still different, still interesting, but still English. I was not quite ready at that point to learn another language. So this area, I went to the same town that Nathan went to. I got to meet all the same friends that he made in that town. The city itself was like right in the middle of the Troubles, the area where the Troubles were. So if you know a little bit about that history that happened in Ireland, the war between the Catholic and the Protestants, it's still very divided. The town is split like right down the middle. There's like a Catholic and a Protestant side of the town, and there's a two of everything. I didn't feel unsafe. I loved it. I was like a single 19-year-old walking around, and it was awesome.
Then we got married. So we had done around 5 years of travel apart, and then we got married and started travel together.
When we got married, we didn't have a lot of money, and we didn't really want to go spend time at a resort. So we spent time kind of discovering a bit of Canada, camping for like a little over a month. And we went to the Rocky Mountains. The water was incredible, as you can see. This area was also called the Land of 1,000 Falls. There were waterfalls everywhere.
We continued our travel of our country of birth up into the Arctic Circle, the land of the midnight sun, which you can see we went out at 12:30 a.m. at night, and it was still light out.
We were there in summer, that's why it never got dark. It was really cool. Like, the people still use teepees, but not to live in. They use them as like smokehouses to smoke their caribou meat.
When we first got married, we moved to an island that was in Haida Gwaii, and we learned how to fish and crab and mushroom hunt and collect seaweed. Particularly, this stuff right here is called cow. Cow. It is the Haida word for herring roe on seaweed.
Also the land of the totem poles. We could step outside of our front door and collect clams and oysters, seaweed.
This picture
fishing.
is taken from our window. Then we moved to the reservation and we were there for, I don't know, a year and a half. In this one you can see the mountains of Alaska.
We ate a lot of fish. Like, we eat salmon nearly every single day, and we never got tired of it.
You never got tired
And
of it.
deer.
You ate it twice a day. I could only eat it once a day.
It was free. And deer, our friends would hunt deer. The island is overrun with these little deer, and we had deer year round.
Then we traveled to Africa, taking a short break through Holland, which you can see here. The land of bicycles and boats.
Beautiful city, Amsterdam.
Then we went to Eastern Africa, the countries that border Lake Victoria, which is Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. We ate some of the best food, which I can still taste in my mouth.
The best
up
food,
to this day.
the best meal I've ever had in my life. We didn't do safaris when we were there. We, like with groups, we wanted to see animals, but we got to go with friends, like locals, that just drove us off into the wilderness, and we saw wild giraffes.
Yeah,
we saw
ran into them
baboons
ourselves.
everywhere. We got to go into the park and just see the animals without having to go with a big crew and spend thousands of dollars.
Actually, I'd like to say that I had a fascination for a long time with only white shirts or black shirts.
Or gray. It was black,
Or
white,
gray.
and gray.
No color.
This one's white.
This is, yeah, this is pretty close. I haven't really moved up.
Costco. Kirkland signature.
Went to Tanzania. This one here is the crampedest bus where we traveled from Tanzania to Uganda. I'm 6'4". I've never been more cramped in my life. I was in so much pain for hours.
It was like
cramped in there.
7 hour in a van with like
My
a
bones
van.
were being pushed out of where they should be.
It was a van, but it's like they fit twice the amount of people than that it should physically fit in a vehicle. Uganda was our last place. This was our favorite out of the 3 African countries we went to. So again, like just a different taste, different culture. The food was amazing and cheap. Like this whole meal was I think $2, like equivalent to $2 American, and it was a lot. We could not finish half of it. We went to Lake Victoria.
This is the mouth of the Nile in this picture that you see.
That was cool. Do you remember the people, the fishermen would use like plungers?
I do remember.
They would take a plunger, not like a toilet, it looked like a toilet plunger, and they go,
Yeah, you could use
and
a
it
toilet
would
plunger.
scare the fish and then they catch it into their net. That was pretty cool. The earth was so red. Everything, all the dirt was very red. That was kind of neat.
Then we took an 80-hour road trip down from the high western coast of Canada down to the other side of Canada. It took us 80 hours to get to Toronto, which is where we lived for about 3 years, on the west side of Toronto, where we were first exposed to Asian culture. I was predominantly Indian, specifically Punjabi. There we got to learn a little bit of the Punjabi language, and it also got us more interested in learning language and more comfortable with learning new languages. It was very cold in the winter and very hot in the summer, and we lived near Niagara Falls.
It's like, you feel like you're in Las Vegas or like New York, like walking down these main streets. It's just like casinos and shops and flashing lights, and so that part isn't so great, but the falls itself is a natural beauty, you know, amazing.
But again, that also helped shape our view of travel into the way it is now, in that if something is super commercialized, even if it's really beautiful, the good feeling that you would have going to that place gets lost a bit by the tourism and the commercialization of it. And up till now we kind of steer away from those kind of places.
Also, Toronto is only an hour and a half to the border of New York, so we spent we took a few trips down to New York State.
New York.
Upstate New York is very beautiful, actually. We drove down, so it took us, I don't know how many hours, 8 hours or something?
7-8 hours to get to New York City from Toronto.
So that was great. We did like touristy stuff. Our first time anyway, we went to Central Park, we walked around, saw all the sights in the city. We went to Times Square. 2014 was our first time to Asia, to explore the amazing aspects of the Asian continent. We went to Korea. Awesome culture. Of course, the food was amazing. We ate meat like breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. We spent a few weeks, almost a month in Korea, and it was awesome. Like like what you would imagine, like really fun, cute stuff, street food galore, Korean barbecue, weird things, a lot of weird alcohol made out of weird things.
They take alcohol
anything into
and they
alcohol.
drop anything in it. Pine cones,
Pine needles.
wasps.
It's like rice wine.
soaked in the corpses of wasps.
Like hundreds of wasps. That gave it like a strong flavor.
That was strong. You can't have too much or else it's like poison. But we only had a little anyway, so we're still alive.
The stingers are still in there. We took a flight. We flew to Jeju Island, which is still part of Korea, South Korea. Jeju Island is awesome. We had seafood every day until it was coming out of our eyeballs. And Jeju Island was like crazy, like tropical, beautiful colored water. A lot more beautiful than I was expecting.
We went to China for a short time and do plan to go there again. But we want to show you aerobics in China, and we understand that this goes on in other places in like Southeast Asia.
We were just walking down the street and there was a huge crowd of people exercising in this parking lot. It was hilarious. I was a little afraid to take these videos, so I was like on the other side of the street.
Hopefully.
But I was laughing hysterically for like an hour. Funny signs.
And then we came to Nepal, and here is,
This is like our first few days.
yeah, within our first week of Nepal.
Eating with our hands.
Eating with our hands.
Right off the bat.
So that's us up to now, the last decade of travel that we have enjoyed. So we wanted to share those with you, and we will share in more detail the upcoming trips that we will be taking, exploring our continent.
Bye bye.